Are you ready for the Low Blows Network? Every Wednesday on the Low Blows Network, the Low Blows team are at hand to break down, analyze, and make fun of all things pro wrestling. Hosted by former pro wrestler Rick Nash. I think the only reasonable thing we can do now is turn John Cena heel.
Selfie with me fucking Doug.
Banned from Nigeria. I will be talking to the government tomorrow morning. YouTube star Corporate King.
This elephant has 4 legs. Joe Wrestle's 4 legs. Joseph Stalin, if he had 2 more legs.
Bonesaw rips off his shirt, yeah, and it says, "Chuck your law, big dirty tricolour."
And the Queen of Irish Wrestling, Katey Harvey.
I won't once to say just CM Punk.
So embarrassed. CM Punk.
It's Low Blows.
So, we spoke last week about always remembering where you were for WrestleMania. Like, for example, last week I remember I was talking to Mr. Small Package Player Boyd about, like, watching old WrestleMania 17 with the Lions. I was watching Austin turn on The Rock at side with Vince McMahon, but I couldn't actually see it because it was one of those where the channels were scrambled when you didn't have enough, when you couldn't afford the sports channel. So it was just JR going, "No, don't do it," and me like sitting there on the edge of my chair like, do one. I remember like getting given out to WrestleMania 20 like because I was screaming so loud and crying when Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero, or like all the memories through back of the years doing Low Blows parties for WrestleMania and so on. But guys, as we get kicked off here on another edition of Low Blows, a WrestleMania review special in the wake of WrestleMania 36. What will your guys' lasting memory of watching this year's WrestleMania be? So in terms of your personal experience, we'll get to kind of discussing the show itself. We'll get started with Katey Harvey.
I think it was just weird watching it at home because it's been a long time since I've watched WrestleMania at home.
Yeah.
Obviously, normally we're at Low Blows, or even before that, like, we've usually wrestled on the day of WrestleMania, so we've watched a lot of them up in Belfast after PWU. We've watched a lot, like, we watched one year in Holland with, like, lads after a show. So I think it was weird just not watching it in a crowd.
Yeah.
And I am very much a kind of person who falls asleep easily, so I fell asleep after the first match of night one. I was saying on Twitter, like, I gave myself a 6-hour Mania on Sunday because I had to catch up on night one before I watched two. So it really defeated the purpose.
So you didn't even get the benefit of the 2 nights, like?
No. The only good thing was I still find it really hard to watch with no audience.
Right. So
I did skip or like fast forward through a lot of night one matches.
Yeah, I get you. I was very similar. Like I even tweeted this out, and sure enough, I ended up passing out. Like I think it was just before the Becky match. That was like I've had a couple of beers, I've had a shitload of pizza, and I'm watching a wrestling show with no audience. I'm not lasting, and sure enough, I didn't. So yeah, I was the same. It was weird for me. Very similar to what you're saying. Like we spoke last week about how it's the first year since 2011, WrestleMania 17, that there wasn't a party that I was preparing for. So it was weird just getting back into that. I felt like I was almost a child again, because that's what, like I would have been like, 22 or something when I last would have watched a WrestleMania at home. So I would have pretty much been a kid, like, no offense, Corporate Kid. But I, just preparing for WrestleMania by myself and just like not kind of worrying about anyone else. And I remember I remember even like kind of it was Sean Hodgson, OTT cameraman extraordinaire, got on and tweeted us and going, "When's the Zoom party for Mania?" And I'm like, we better do something like force people, like, because that's why we got started. And we did do a Zoom party for Mania in the end. Thanks to everyone who joined us. It was good crack. We ended up writing a movie called Catching Montez about how the Street Profits, when they didn't get caught that time. It was a lot of crack, and looking at Joe Stodge's TV, which we'll discuss later on in our Slow Blows. But like just being able to, like, coming from trying to organise WrestleMania and being under a lot of pressure trying to organise it for 400 or 500 people, to just worrying about myself myself, I have to say it was kind of nice. It was nice not having that pressure. I thought I'd be a bit depressed, but I was like, this is actually kind of cool. Like, it's not my first choice, but I'm enjoying it. I'm also looking forward to, like, you know, we are going to do a Rumble and Mania party next year, so I'm looking forward to getting back to it, like, obviously circumstances permitting. But it was nice, and that'll always be my memory, just being a fan again, watching old wrestling clips. On the Zoom party, we were doing, like, wrestling table quizzes and stuff beforehand. Like, we're just doing random online quizzes together as a group, and then, like, just like even on the Sunday, watching the Edge documentary, which we'll discuss, and the Drew McIntyre documentary, getting psyched up for matches and stuff like that as well. That was really fun. I enjoyed, and I didn't expect to be saying this 1 week ago, but I enjoyed my WrestleMania 36 experience. We'll talk about the actual card itself, but that's me. Corporate Keen, I know you were saying that you weren't looking forward to it, you were planning to watch it the next day, and it was just something that was going to come by. How will you remember your WrestleMania 36, or will you remember? Was it just another weekend?
Yeah, I just watched it the next morning in bed. There's no real kind of, no real dramatic kind of story. Like, it was, I wasn't really too into it. Besides, obviously, you know, the Firefly match, which we'll get to. But, like, yeah, no, it was. I mean, I'll remember it. I will remember it. It was different. Do you know what I mean? To say that I won't remember it would be a lie. But it wouldn't have been like one of my favorite experiences. But you know.
I get you. That's and I think a lot of people can relate to it, like one way or the other there. So what we're going to do for this week's show, and this will kind of be the last normal low blows for a while, we're going to discuss our thoughts about WrestleMania, and then we're going to do like a half and half show, so it's going to be ass low blows. We'll throw over after we finish discussing WrestleMania, because there is no wrestling news to discuss. There is no different shows, and we don't want to like cover no audience shows, because we'll just be saying the same things over and over. It's boring for us, it's boring for you. Ask Low Blows, at least we can give you a show regardless of the pandemic or the situation, so we're going to keep doing that until the situation allows us to get back to normal. We also have, by the way, Mr. Small Package, Phil Boyd, on the line there. I do believe. Phil, what's your WrestleMania memory?
Of the last WrestleMania, or
no, just this week. So last weekend, what will be your takeaway from this weekend? Like, what will you remember, rather than the matches, just like your experience more than anything else?
Okay, so what was the other thing that was unique about this WrestleMania weekend is the fact that it was a weekend.
Yeah,
like, you have to have so many matches on it, and they literally filled out 2 full nights of wrestling. Just the main card, guys. I don't think there was an NXT match, was there?
Rhea Ripley was it?
Well, yeah, but you had Charlotte in that. I know technically Charlotte's probably going to go with NXT, so okay, you can slightly get that one away as an NXT match, but that was just main match. So that was just Raw SmackDown, 2 full nights.
Yeah.
The thing I found about it, right, and I was interested in a few matches. Like, I was interested in Taker AJ, Becky's match. I'd like particularly set up for that one on the first night. Like, my thing about it is I found out that there was a load of matches in there that I just did not care for.
Yeah.
But I find now, it made me open my eyes up to WWE, and I was like, maybe what's the issue with WWE? Because when we talked about all WrestleManias and we talked about Austin and Rock, that was for the WWF title, and that was big. You know what I mean? Like, it was the big title match on the show. You know, you still had Taker, Triple H that night, but everyone cared about the Rumble winner versus the champ. And Charlotte was the Rumble winner, and who was the guy? It was Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
Right? We have so many other titles on it now. Like, the 24/7 title got so much on it. Like, and I feel like that WWE have so many titles now, and you're just like, all right, it doesn't matter if you're not the WWE champion, because you can be the Universal champion. If you're not the Universal champion, you can be a tag champ. And if you're not a tag champion, you can be the other tag champ. You know what I mean? And it's just like, there's a lot going on now at the moment where it doesn't feel like any match is particularly special. Yeah. And that's what half that card was, just that a lot of matches were just like, I'm watching this, but I do not really care who wins.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. Like I said, I think a lot of people will relate to hearing that out there. But one thing that like we were talking about last week was the no audience shows. We weren't psyched for this. We did make the point that, look, they have the likes, and we pointed out the Boneyard, the Firefly Funhouse. We kind of predicted that they'd go the route that they did. Not obviously what had happened or how to come about. I think they beat us on that. But like we predicted that they were the matches that could stand out. But we also said that WWE, when their backs against the wall, like they can pull it out of the bag. The question, I guess, here is just relating to the no audience experience of watching WrestleMania. I don't know, with me, I found myself, like, in the first match, it was the women's tag team match, and I'm finding myself, like, I expected to be on my phone for the entire card, like, because that's the way I've been with no audience shows. It was the way I was watching Raw this week as well, because I did watch it to see if they had anything up their sleeves. Spoiler, they didn't. The only surprise they had was Nia Jax was back, and the Big Show wrestled a random title match after WrestleMania. Yeah. So that was it. Like, that was all that happened. He had a title match with Drew McIntyre. It was 5 minutes. McIntyre won. It's exactly what you'd expect it to be, and that was that. Like, so they didn't have anything on Raw, and I was back to normal status quo. But I found myself getting into these matches in a way I hadn't before. Is that just me? Is that just me because it was WrestleMania and I cared, or the matches had stakes, or are they starting to figure out how no audience shows work? Katey, what do you feel on this? Could you find yourself getting into the matches this weekend in a way that maybe you hadn't before, trying to watch the Raw and SmackDown, the bits you had seen?
No, I felt like I had to force myself to take an interest.
Okay.
I don't know. I just think, like, WWE don't wrestle for a crowd anyway.
Yeah.
So, like, it's weird. It's like they shouldn't have to change their style, but because it's such a unique situation, they should change their style. Like, I got into Daniel Bryan and Sami Zayn because they were so vocal and it's so many people at ringside, and they kind of worked the situation into the match. I don't know, but like a lot of the other matches, I just couldn't get into.
Okay, so you're saying they're really vocal. How do you mean?
They were making lots of noise.
Yeah, and the girls' tag match did a lot of that as well.
Yeah.
You were saying there, pretty much saying, do you think WWE are adapting to this situation? I think they are. I found like they were being very vocal to each other, not like, come on, Bray. Like they were like being very vocal to each other. You know what I mean? Drew Gulak's a nobody. Drew Gulak's a nobody. Is it? You're a nobody. Yeah. And like, but it made you, from a TV point of view, like it was sound. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't just guys locking up, putting on a wrist lock or whatever. Like it was noise. Like, okay, the crowd wasn't making, the wrestlers started making, but I think they were adapting to that.
They're adapting a little, but in my mind, they're not adapting far enough. Like I was saying, I find it weird that they set up security barriers.
Yeah.
Like, why? Like,
what else are you going to get whipped into?
No, but but you know what I mean? Like, the big thing every year is like the WrestleMania set. What's it going to look like? I just think they could have done something more creative this year because they didn't need to set it up like that.
Yeah.
Because there is no crowd.
I wish they had to put cardboard men in the seats. FIFA games that didn't move, like.
The Raw versus SmackDown, the video game crowds, where it's just like a blank face jumping up and down, like.
I want some sort of like pogo stick thing, or like where they move up and down, like.
Amazing. Do you know what? On that note, I found that it was like a case-by-case basis. I found there was people who wrestled the typical WWE style match. So you had like Baron Corbin and Elias, and they went out there and they just had the same match that they'd have on SmackDown, where there was 10,000-15,000 people, and as a result there I'm checking my phone. But then you've got Daniel Bryan against Sami Zayn, and you've got the people at ringside who are like, they're smart and they're like, there's no crowd here, so we've got to make the noise. So they're doing a lot of trash talking, more so than they would. They're trying to make the stuff that they're saying funny rather than doing crazy spots, which they probably would have done if there was a WrestleMania crowd there. They're looking at the situation, they're adapting. So I found this on a case by case, even not even on experience, because you had Goldberg then in his match at one stage, like he didn't know what to do, because like his response after the spear is to turn around to the crowd and go, ah! And he did that, and you could see that little flicker in his eye where he realized there's no one here. I'm doing that to nobody, and I've just done it, and it's happened. So there were people that were really good for it, and there were people that wasn't. As a result, we had a bumpy card. Corporate Keane, what did you find? Did you find this was the same for you? Because you really don't like no audience wrestling.
Yeah, I couldn't get into it at all.
Right.
Like, at all. Yeah, I don't know. It was awkward. It was just kind of like, what I didn't like was the fact that as I was watching it, I couldn't shake the feeling that, this would be so much better if, like, for example, the Otis and Mandy Rose match. And I'm not like, I don't want to suck the fun out of it for anyone else, because I know like a lot of people liked it. I saw it on Twitter. A lot of people did enjoy this, but like, when like the end of that match when Mandy Rose comes out and saves Otis and they get together and all, and it's like that was made for a crowd. You know what I mean? Like imagine like Macho Man and Elizabeth. You know what I mean? With no fans and nothing, just silent. That's how it felt. It was like this was the whole point of this was for a live crowd. I felt, and obviously there couldn't be anyone there, but I was hoping they'd maybe save it for like SummerSlam or save it for down the line when fans are allowed back in. You know what I mean? Like I know it's WrestleMania, it's the big event, but it's not the biggest event this year because there's no one there. So, like, what I didn't like about the show was the fact that people got their moments here. Like, Drew McIntyre got his big moment, Braun got his big moment, and I don't think, like, it's not, I know it says WrestleMania on the fucking screen, but it's not it's not the big event. And I feel like their moments, some of them anyway, should have been saved for later on in the year, I feel.
That's a very good point. I felt when I was watching Otis and Ziggler, I was like, they should have just had Ziggler win here and just kept the story going because when they got to the happy ending, it was set up for that. Like, imagine the great Macho Man Elizabeth. The first thing I thought of was when she ran out of the crowd to save the Macho Man against the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 7. In this, it'd just be like, oh, Elizabeth's standing there. Looks like she's going to do something, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I get what you're saying, like, on that, where, they could have done, like, it felt forced when Otis is kissing Mandy all of a sudden, because it's like, it's not the payoff, because we're not getting the ups and downs that the crowd would naturally bring with it. So I do hear you there. But I did think there was some really good stuff that's shown on this card. Now, we'll get to the Boneyard and Funhouse matches as we go. But in terms of the regular matches themselves on the undercard, what kind of surprised you as working? Like, for me, I loved the ladder match. I thought the ladder match was terrifying. I thought it was very cleverly done. I loved the finish with all three of them grabbing it and then Morrison falling off, just happening to have the two belts in his hand. Was it lucky, or was he just being a sneaky, devious heel? Like, that whole thing. I loved that match. I loved Daniel Bryan against Sami Zayn as well. So there was a lot. There were matches that I really liked here. Katey, what stood out for you match-wise in terms of like kind of surprising you, or were there any matches apart from the kind of the big kind of film set matches?
I thought that Rhea Ripley and Charlotte was the best wrestling match of the entire weekend. And I just, again, like, you know, sitting there like, imagine if this was in front of a crowd. Like, you know what I mean? It just would have got such a reaction, especially Charlotte winning, you know, because people are so split on whether that's a good thing or not. I just think it would have got a really good reaction. I like Sami Zayn and Daniel Bryan. I couldn't get into the ladder match. I felt so uncomfortable watching it. Just because I'm like, oh, the bumps and the spots they're doing with like no one there. Like, we were talking a little bit before about like the adrenaline that you get from the crowd. All I could think was like, oh, they're going to be so sore in the morning.
Though, she can't watch anyone go to the top rope anymore. She's like, oh my God, I hope they don't break their elbows.
Trauma. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. So you must have hated the Kevin Owens bump then, did you?
You know what? That actually lost my interest completely. That entire thing. I don't know why. I don't know. I just could not get into it. Again, I think that's another match a crowd would have really, really like brought it up. And I'd say the match was fine, but I kept drifting off, and then I'd catch myself on my phone, and I'd have to put it down and look back at the screen again. It's really hard to pay attention. I get that. Like, for me, I was that way for the first half. Then after they did the DQ bit, I was back in, and obviously where they went with it, it was for that moment. So I like that personally. Cian, what did you think? What matches kind of surprised you in terms of working, or were there any, or were you just totally out in the whole card?
I'm kind of with you on the ladder match. That was kind of the one match I actually really enjoyed. And I watched the whole thing as well. I really liked it. I didn't enjoy the match, but like as a whole. But I did love Kevin Owens and his WrestleMania moment, because in fairness, it was a WrestleMania moment. Like, that's something that'll come up in the video packages and all that later on. You know, like that's something that can be remembered. But I don't know. Like, I mean, that's kind of. kind of feels like it. I really, yeah, the normal matches just didn't really do it for me. Yeah, and I'm not saying they're bad either. Like they were good. I just couldn't get into them. Do you know what I mean?
It's tough because you feel bad because, like, watching it, it's clear that everyone on the card worked hard. Like, they all put in a fucking shift. So it's not that we want to criticize them. We're just more speaking about the experience with no audience. If we're criticizing,
do you know what it's like?
Go on.
No, do you know what it's like, right? You know when you're playing Extreme Warfare Revenge, yeah? You know when you're playing EWR and you've got like the match quality and then you've got the crowd and then that makes up the overall percentage, yeah? And the crowd's just 0 for every match, so it brings it all down even if it's good. That's what it's like.
I love that comparison. By the way, the new game's out in like 20 days. You know that, right?
Oh, I might
Corporate
make a video on it.
Yeah, bye Corporate Keane. That's the last and we never heard from Corporate Keane again. But yeah, I'll be excited to see. Particularly, like, we're going to be looking at Phil and Katey stats in that game, so that'll be interesting to see. That's the wrestling championship manager, guys. That's the game that you guys are in, by the way, that we're talking about.
I'm still in it.
What was it Phil failed at before? What was it they said you were really bad at when Keane found you in it?
Okay, I wouldn't know.
I can't remember.
I'm going to look it up again.
Yeah,
I'm looking it up again.
Yeah, it was very funny, whatever it was.
And then I remember you celebrating. They said you were average at one thing, and you're like, yeah. For me,
we're pulling people over. That's the there.
Oh, brilliant. Now, in terms of like stuff that didn't work, like, for me, I hate to say this because I was looking forward to this match a lot, to the point that I thought it'd be the main event of one of the nights, though I get why they did it the way they did in hindsight. Becky against Shayna disappointed me quite a lot, and the reason it did is that I thought no audience really worked against Shayna because she's got this badass killer. She's kind of like a more talented female Goldberg, if that makes sense, because she's got this badass killer vibe that we all buy into, and if it's Shayna versus anyone, we'll get into the match on the premise that, you know, Shayna is a killer. She can destroy anyone. But for me, the no audience kind of, I don't know, you guys might have picked up on this as well, just being able to see through the holes. For me, I found Becky was wrestling around Shayna a lot of the time. And if you have a crowd, it distracts you from that because you're also paying attention to the ups and downs of them. But if you don't and they're not really trash talking or anything, you're watching the wrestling, and that isn't necessarily Shayna's strong point in terms of the mechanics of getting from one spot to another, of feeding into it and of working around and just doing the technical, mechanical side of it. For me, I found she was quite weak, and I found Becky was just literally wrestling around her at certain stages. That match kind of disappointed me. The finish, I get why they did it the way they did it. They want to keep doing more. I'm not necessarily against it, but it felt flat as well. Like, even then, that exposed Shayna because, like, why would she just sit back and allow herself with no crowd? Like, fair enough if there was 80,000 people there, I could accept that she didn't hear her shoulders being counted, but she just lay there completely conscious and allowed her shoulders to be pinned to the mat. She didn't even fight or put up a bit of a struggle when she had Becky in the sleeper. I found that was really weak. That let me down in terms of matches I was looking forward to. There's matches that were non-events too, like Bobby Lashley against Aleister Black, Elias against Corbin, but we expected them to be much. That's something I expected a lot of, and it really let me down. Guys, what matches, like, we've spoken about the good, but what matches kind of, outside the big ones, did you feel like kind of just disappointed you when you were expecting more? Would it be Rollins against KO for you, Katey?
Yeah, probably. But again, that's a match that, because I didn't watch a lot of the Raws and SmackDowns coming up to this, like, because I couldn't. So that match didn't even really register in my head, to be honest.
Yeah.
Shayna and Becky, I'll admit, was one of the matches I was asleep for. And it's not one that I was motivated to go back and rewatch the next day.
Right. Oh, geez.
So I guess that probably says it. But again, that's the crowd thing. Like, I don't want it to seem like I'm shitting on the people or the matches. Like, it's the no crowd thing for me. I just can't do it. Like,
yeah, it is. It's tough. And I think that's what's coming across. I think we're making that clear that it's not like, again, all of these wrestlers worked very hard, and we're talking about the entertainment quality we got from it. I think I'm higher than both of you guys on this myself. Like, I enjoyed a lot of the card. Corporate Keane, what matches let you down in particular? Maybe something you might have been looking forward to, or in it like you would have loved with a crowd there that just didn't work for you.
I don't know. I wouldn't say I was like disappointed going, like, because I mean, like my expectations are pretty low, considering the circumstances. So, I don't know, like nothing really. You mentioned Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley. I will say I like the spear into the black mass. Oh, that was pretty cool. You just reminded me of that there. But disappointments, I don't know. Like I'm looking at some of the matches. Like I'm looking at the card here. Like Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. Like even with fans, like I didn't really enjoy that feud. Like I wasn't really on the hype train for that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so, like my expectations, I wouldn't say I was let down.
Yeah.
I was like by anyone really. I think that's
If you never expect that, you'll never be disappointed. So that's
exactly that's it.
That's a WrestleMania moment we can all take away from this. I want to talk. Go ahead, sorry, Phil.
Just to chime in there, I think you were talking about like good matches and bad matches, and like people performing well with no crowd, and some people performing without it. I found that it was all your people who came up from the indies that seemed to adapt better than the performance center produced guys. Yeah. Maybe because the performance center produced guys don't really wrestle in front of nobody all the time, and the indie guys, like you definitely know Daniel Bryan wrestled in front of two people at some stage in his career, like. Yeah. Yeah. So all those indie guys probably weren't affected by having no crowd because they probably all did that at some stage. Like myself and definitely you, Rick. Gym shows back in the day.
Pretty much every show I was main eventing was 0 people in the crowd. It was really weird. It's a streak I was proud of in a weird way, but I agree there. There's a lot to that. I think if you work the indie scene, like if there's no crowd, you're like let's just go out and have a laugh, and they did that. Like Daniel Bryan against Sami Zayn, there you go. Like they went out and had a laugh, and it was an enjoyable match as a result. And like I said before, they didn't have to do the crazy shit that they would have probably done if there was 80,000 people there. I want to talk about the title matches because a lot of people are making the same point that these two were the exact same and they were a bit of a waste of time. Like we had 2 new heavyweight champions, Braun Strowman winning the Universal title, Drew McIntyre, new WWE champion. Both matches lasted less than 5 minutes. Is this something though that you're kind of disappointed in? Like, are we entitled to expect, like, when you think of classic matches of the past, the Austin Rocks and all the great matches we spoke about in the past for the belt in the main event of WrestleMania, are we entitled to be disappointed in this, or was this the right move on WWE's part, or should these matches have been the case at all? Like, Corporate Keaton, what are your thoughts on the title matches?
They could have done something cinematic considering they're only going to be 30 seconds long anyway. You know what I mean? Yeah. I could have done something mad cool, like with fucking. You could have had like Brock Lesnar get decapitated or something like that. You know what I mean? Like that would have been gas. I know it's a PG show and all that, but like I think that would have been fucking daily. Like I kind of, again, like I already said what I was going to say about like Braun and Drew's moments. I feel should have been saved for an actual moment. Like I doubt that it felt that great to win the title. In a match like that, again, a match like that in front of no fans is really weird. Like, and I love squash matches. I'm one of the few that actually loves Brock Lesnar and Goldberg type matches, but it's fucking weird. Like in that, like, with no reaction, it's just all right. It's over now. You can go home. It's like it reminded me of like when Brock Lesnar elbowed Randy Orton's head in that one time, and it was no like whoa. It was just like okay. Guess we're done here, and everyone just kind of left.
Yeah. For me, I think it's particularly, like, I didn't mind the Lesnar-Drew match. It was what I wanted it to be. I was up late. I did stay awake for that one. And at that stage, it's at that stage of the night where you're like, you know what? I'd love a 5-minute main event because I could go for some sleep right now. And they gave me that, so I wasn't that pissed with it, to be honest. But I don't know if I'll watch it back anytime soon. Goldberg and Braun, for me, I think they made a big mistake here announcing Braun beforehand because the match felt completely pointless. There was no reason for Braun to be in a title match to begin with. Not that Reigns had that big of a reason to be there, but we didn't care because it's spear versus spear. We got it. There's no explanation. There's no reason for him to be here. It's a WrestleMania title match. It's the only heavyweight title match on Saturday night, so it counts for a lot. And then it's a nothing match as it is. Now, I thought the best thing to do with those two in the ring is to have a short match because they're not going to have a 30-minute epic. So I didn't mind that. But what I would have liked if Goldberg had just come out and said, like, well, Roman Reigns can't can't be here, so I guess I don't have any challengers. And then just do a surprise. Braun comes out as a surprise, beats him for the title in like 2 minutes, and then you're like, holy shit, that's memorable because you weren't expecting it to begin with. But the way it just felt very mechanical, it's like we're very aware and watching it there. Goldberg probably doesn't have any dates beyond WrestleMania, so they have to get the title onto Braun so Roman Reigns can beat him, and blah, 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 blah. And it's shit for Braun as well, because he was a big deal not too long ago, and that's his big WrestleMania title win. That's his first ever world title win. And it's to that, and everyone is kind of not giving a shit. That's my thoughts, though. Katey, what are your thoughts on the shorter title matches?
I like them because, again, I didn't have the attention span for long matches.
Yeah.
I think they did Drew and Brock a disservice by putting it straight after the Firefly Funhouse.
Yeah.
I would have liked a different match in between the two of them, just because Firefly Funhouse was so weird and it left everyone on such a high.
Yeah.
That, I don't know, it just didn't flow. And again, it was coming up on 3 hours at that stage, so you were kind of like, oh, this is going to be 5 minutes. So yeah, I probably would have slotted just a different match in between them just to create some separation. But yeah, no, I'm okay with the short matches. Again, like what Cian was saying, like it kind of sucks that that's their moment, because I think Drew McIntyre winning would have created some really great viral videos and stuff of like people watching it in Scotland, and like, you know, it just would have been, him winning would have been a bigger moment, I think.
Yeah.
You know, I do feel bad in that sense.
Fair play to Drew. Like, he did try his best on social media beforehand, and he's like, I want you guys to send me pictures of you celebrating my title in your homes. And it's like, that's not going to get over. The only celebrations I can think of wrestling fans in their homes, like, that have gotten popular are, do you remember that lad who used to get pissed off about the Royal Rumble results and used to destroy his DVD collections?
No.
No. It's like, Batista won, what the hell? And he used to just like totally destroy. I'll send you the video on. It's epic. Like, it used to be whenever we'd be promoting a Royal Rumble party, like we did this like 2 or 3 years in a row in the promotional video. I'm like, don't be this guy. And then it's like, hang out with us. He was such a bad ad for watching TV, watching big pay-per-views by yourself, that it really worked for us. But that's the only time I can think of people celebrating, I use in quotation marks, at home. But fair play to Drew. And to be honest, I got more into it based on the documentary that they released on WWE before, on the network beforehand. Even though you've seen the match and how it turns out now, it is worth a watch. The chronicle they did on them, where it acknowledges the coronavirus situation, it acknowledges what's happening. It's Drew talking about how disappointed he is because the cameras were following him when he found out it was going to be a no audience match, and he was fucking depressed. And then he built himself back up, so it made me get into it more, so I could appreciate it. It gave me the context I needed to feel what I needed to feel at the moment. So I liked it, and fair play to them for doing the best with what they had. Another documentary that I think we need to discuss, and we'll get into the match as well, is Edge's comeback documentary, the WWE 24 one. Another thing which helped me get into the mood. Katey, I know you were a big fan of this.
I cried 4 times watching this. I loved it so much. That's the best WWE documentary I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It really, really helps that his wife is a WWE superstar as well. So her interviews were really interesting and her input was really interesting. You've got Christian. Like, they didn't just interview people for the sake of it. Everyone had a reason to be interviewed and like really added to it. And even just the amount of access they had, like just being able to track it like all the way through.
Yeah.
I just loved it. It's the best documentary I've seen.
And if you crying 4 times wasn't enough, if people knowing that wasn't enough for them, if you look really closely in that documentary, you can probably see Katie Harvey crying the initial time that Edge came back in Buskers on the Ball, because mad random, we were somehow in that. There's a video that I recorded on my phone in the Edge documentary. That's mental, and I still haven't got my head around it, but really cool. So some of you guys, if you haven't seen it, Buskers is in the Edge documentary, the celebrations for his comeback. It was a really cool add-on. But in terms of that match, obviously a lot riding on it. Obviously disappointing that Edge doesn't get to kind of have his moment in front of a crowd. Corporate Cian, do you think that they did something to salvage it? Because for me, I don't know if I loved or hated this match. It went on so long, I think I felt both emotions at different times. But Corporate Keen, how will you remember Edge's comeback? Did they make the best of it? Should they have just put it off? What are your thoughts?
Admittedly, I skipped to the end of this. I don't really, I wasn't really arsed. I don't really like last man standing matches either. Yeah. But the ending, I really liked. If that's any consolation, like it was backstage, so it didn't feel like there was meant to be any fans there.
Yeah.
I actually thought it was alright. Now again, a lot of people were complaining about the length of the match, and I didn't sit through it, so
yeah.
I view it from somebody who just skipped to the end, but I enjoyed it. So yeah, I actually thought it was alright.
If that was a 5-minute match, that'd be a great 5-minute match. Unfortunately, it wasn't, and I watched it as a 5-minute match. So it was a 5-star 5-minute match that wasn't a 5-minute match. Katey Harvey, this is obviously something you were heavily invested in. Obviously, you've spoke before, huge Edge fan. Documentary made you cry beforehand. You cried when he came back in Buskers in the Royal Rumble party. We spoke about that before. What were your thoughts on this match? How did you feel it went down?
This kills me, right? Because I'm a massive Edge fan and I'm a massive Randy Orton fan. They're both in my top 5, and I did not enjoy this match. Now, I don't like last man standing matches, and to me, that kind of match is a feud ender, not the first match in a feud. It's not like they can go and really do anything. They can't just go off a normal match now after that, Part of me just wanted to see Edge in a normal match in his first match back. Having no crowd heard it, and the fact it was so long. It was just too long, and I'm not saying people need to do crazy match like that, but the whole thing is built around Edge's neck, and they're literally just bashing each other's heads off things for 40 minutes, So I think they kind of killed the impact of a lot of the stuff that they were doing. And I don't know if any match could have ever lived up to what I had in my head anyway. But the whole situation and the kind of match it was just was a little bit disappointing to me.
I go ahead. Sorry, Phil, do you want to chime in there?
Yeah, no, sure. I was watching with Katey, and we both had the same point of view there. Where it was a perfect 20-minute match, but obviously they were told by the office that they need to go 40 minutes, and I understand you have to go 40, you have to drag it out a bit, but I don't think it helped the two lads at all. Because I think how many big spots were in it, Rick? Tell me, list them out there. Can you remember all now? You talk about your WrestleMania moments. How many big spots are in it?
Yeah,
can you remember?
Yeah, I actually do. I have a good memory of the spots. It did stand out that way.
As well, but I would like to hear yours.
For me, what I remember, and this is what I was just saying, I don't hate this match because I remember the highs, and if we condense it down into a highlight package, I'd really like it. But I remember Edge climbing up on the top of the roof and then doing that elbow drop down. I remember him jumping off a ladder and immediately thought of the bit in the documentary where he's like, I'm not going to jump off ladders again. And it's the next match back he does it. And then obviously the finish. But for me, what killed me was the last man standing stipulation. The fact and the way WWE do it as well is fucking killer to any match, because it's a 10 count, but really it's a 30 count because the ref is 1 Mississippi, 2, and I get that they're trying to give guys a chance to sell, but it just drags the match so long that you just, especially with no crowd audience to count, no crowd to count along with it. It's just, I think they should have just told the ref just count quicker or something like that, or they want to give themselves time to sell or whatever. I get what they were going for, but that just killed it for me, I think. I don't know, what about you?
It's such a bad format, you're right, the last man standing thing is such a bad format. If they did a street fight where alright, you can get pinned anywhere, fair enough, they could do the same match and the ref just counts a couple of faulties. Again, I'm not making spell me, but I had one before, out in Bray, I think, and it was awful to be part of. I remember being in the match, and it was great in theory, great in concept. Before the bell rang, and when you're backstage, you're yeah, this is gonna be good. And then when you got out there and it actually played out, you're just oh my god, and you can feel the crowd getting less and less interested, and you're less and less interested. Doing that for 40 minutes, man. You could, like I said, it was a potential for a 5-star that just I don't think ever lived up to the billing.
Yeah.
It was the second longest WrestleMania match ever.
Jesus.
Like, that's a crazy statistic when you think about it.
Holy shit, I did not know that.
Did
Is
you
that
make some-
true?
No, I read it somewhere.
No, I think it's made up.
It was 39 minutes.
I can instantly think of two matches that I think are a bit... Well, the Iron Man match is obviously the longest. That's an hour, like, plus, because they went to overtime and that. And then I thought Triple H against The Undertaker, that Hell in a Cell, I thought that was around an hour as well, actually. But I could be wrong. Maybe it's the case.
I'll have to check it up, but someone told me it was the second longest WrestleMania match ever, and I thought that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
We're cheap to say
Yeah, probably because they're lying.
match.
Okay. I also didn't like the start because I just think doing like a sneak through the crowd start when there's no crowd.
I like the start.
I didn't, because like Randy Orton's dressed up as a cameraman. Yeah, okay, he's dressed up as a cameraman, right? At what point did like no one notice him like getting dressed?
You know what was more upsetting is that, like, Edge is standing at this entranceway, so I have voices in my head. Right? This is going on for like 40 seconds. And like, and Edge, you don't see Randy Orton coming that entranceway, and you're just like, oh, what's going through Edge's head? He's like, maybe Randy was on the toilet, you know? And like, on the door, like he's going, yeah, look, it happens. Like, no, you wouldn't no thought of turning around just in case he's messing that much.
You're out of the game, okay?
Yeah, he's a bit rusty.
You didn't pay to turn around.
No, like, it's not as if, like, you don't have to scan 80,000 people. You just need to look at one of the 5 people in the arena and make sure that that's not your hated rival and former tag team partner who knows your family. Yeah, no, I get that. I do, and I thought the same when I watched it. Look, it's a weird match where I'm like, I liked both men's performances. I liked what they did. I thought they did as good as they could, and they were both really good in this match. But the format and the length and the crowd and all the other bits that they need that to click in, that didn't work. And then but I'd hesitate to criticize them for it because I think they worked a really good match, but there was just way too much of it. I think something that we can, like, a lot of people are talking about the positive. It's definitely going to be people's takeaway from WrestleMania and the part of the show that they'll remember for years to come will be the Boneyard match and the Firefly Funhouse match. We predicted it last week. We were hoping it for weeks that they kind of go cinematic with it. That's exactly where they went. They leaned into it. So, Corporate King, we'll get started with you. Like, as a Lucha Underground fan, as a person who like was big into the Final Deletion, did you love these? Did you love both of them? Did you like one better than the other? Are you Team Boneyard or Team Funhouse? What are your overall thoughts on these two matches?
The Boneyard match met my expectations, right? Both matches obviously divided people. For me, I liked the Boneyard match. I loved the entrances, I loved the ending, and I loved hearing Undertaker talk shit throughout. But I feel like out of those that loved it, which is like the majority, will say like, I don't know, like 90% of people seem to love it. It's a bit overrated, for, like, in my opinion, a bit overhyped. Okay. Like it was presented brilliantly, but in terms of actual content, like, you look at Final Deletion as an example, you've got all the Senor Benjamin, all the Vanguard stuff, all the surprise appearances, you know what I mean? They take you on a journey and it's funny and you've got all these little things along the way that pop you and all that sort of stuff. There was, in terms of actual content, there was very little to it. Like, it was just two lads sort of punch each other around in a boneyard. You know what I mean? Like, there was no, like, yeah, there was, like I was waiting for Kane, you know what I mean? I was waiting for Kane. You know, I was waiting for Michelle McCool. Where's Michelle McCool? That was a big plot point, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to complain too much about it because it was absolutely, they went in the right direction, but I just feel like there was more they could have done, you know what I mean? So I did like it, but I wouldn't say I loved it as much as everyone else. The Firefly Funhouse match though, oh man, right, this is my takeaway from WrestleMania, because this is actually one of my favorite matches ever. Even though it's arguably not even a match, like, I don't even know how you describe that. Like, but you know what my favorite part about the Firefly Funhouse is? What? Like, that this is now like a new match type. It's a new match stipulation. You have the ladder match, you have like the table match, and now you have the Firefly Funhouse match that doesn't actually take place in a ring, and there's no real set kind of format to it. You just have to the Fiend just puts his opponent through their worst nightmares and then like kills them, which is like fascinating. I loved it. Like, the thing about this match is, when I first saw it, it was kind of first thing in the morning. I didn't really know what I was watching. I was kind of laughing at first. Like, this is like, like it's funny. I don't really get it, but it's funny. And then, like, as it went on, I was like, oh, now I get it. And it was like, oh, shit. Like, he brought him through all his worst fears, his debut, his fucking, like, his debut going wrong. What are some of the other fears again? I can't think off the top of my head.
He was on, Katey, you must have loved when he was on Nitro at one stage. Like, it was.
Oh, yeah. That was the turning heel phase.
Yeah. His rapping as well. All like the fucking.
His rap's actually pretty good in it as well.
His raps made me laugh. Yeah. But like, there's so much to it, and like in the end, and like the ending, oh my god, where it could like you hear his promo talking about how what was it again? He's finally gonna get rid of the most overhyped, overprivileged. I can't remember the full phrase, but superstar of all time. And it turns out that he was actually talking about himself, and then Fiend fucking kills him, and I'm like, oh shit, that was so cool, man. I love that match. I fucking love it. But I can understand as well why other people wouldn't. Like, I can understand, like, not liking it. You know what I mean? It is very much a divisive thing. It's very, very, very different. And, because I expect it to be cinematic, but this is even more than what I expected. Unlike the Boneyard match that, like, met my expectations, this completely surpassed it for me. This was, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And I loved it. All the little nods as well, like the fucking, like, Vince McMahon, like, this is good shit. Like, all that little, like, you know what I mean? There's so much to take from it. I don't even know what to talk about in the match because there was so much to it. I loved it. I fucking loved it. And that made WrestleMania worth it for me. You know what I mean? Like, everything else to be the shits. I don't care. That one match is all I needed. Like, that was, so good.
It was really fun to watch. It was really fun to watch live, and especially I loved watching it in the Low Blows Zoom party because it was like different people were like some people watching on the network and whatever, so they were like a minute behind. So we were all just like totally engrossed, totally watching it. We weren't talking during it, but different people were popping at different times, and everyone's like, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" It was such a unique experience.
Well, I didn't say the funniest part. The part at the end with fucking Titus O'Neil, who first of all I was so happy to see back, but when I cut to him afterwards, I genuinely screamed laughing. Like I was.
It was amazing.
It was just the funniest shit. Like so good. Oh man, poor fucking though. Imagine you're watching that and you're like, this is my colleague. Like, I'm going to have to get into a ring and fight this man at some point, quite possibly. You know what I mean? So, fuck that. So funny. I loved it.
I love how, like, they had him break social distancing just for that moment. Like, it's like, leave your family, leave your home, risk yourself and travel, like, into the middle of a bunch of people in the middle of a pandemic for a 2-second clip. And you know what? It was worth it. It was worth it, I have to say. Phil and Katey, are you team Boneyard or are you team Firefly? Did you love these matches or what's the story? How'd you feel?
So I haven't actually seen the Funhouse Firefly. Can you guys explain it to me? Like, did they ever get physical in it? Because I kind of fell asleep halfway through it, to be honest. Did they ever actually physically lay hands on each other?
Like, no. Did they? Oh, well, I think Bray Wyatt hit him with his finisher. And then John Cena disintegrated.
Oh, I remember this the next morning, yeah. He did Thanos them or something, didn't he?
Yeah, that was it. They hit his finisher, but it was a promo for the most part. It was a segment, yeah.
I think Phil thought I was lying when I was explaining the match to him the next day.
Well, like, I want to know how you have a match without getting physical.
We're going to watch it after, okay? Because I forgot you hadn't seen it.
Katey, your thoughts on the two, and which one are you like going to remember more?
I loved both of them because it is what WWE needed to do. Like, just what I was saying about the set. Like, this is the time to just go batshit.
Yeah.
You know, to do something different. Like, we were watching the Boneyard match and I turned to Phil and I was like, I think for the first time in 20 odd years of watching wrestling, like, I'm an Undertaker fan.
How much was he though? Like, how much of a badass is the Undertaker now?
Yeah.
Like, it was shot brilliantly. Like, the Undertaker now, I can't wait for the Undertaker's next match.
Yeah.
I hope the Undertaker never has another belt to belt in the wrestling ring ever again. I hope every single one of Undertaker's matches going forward is a cinematic fucking release.
Yeah.
That could be Oscar worthy, because right now he is the baddest mofo on the planet, as opposed to somebody who's probably going to be in the ring and go for something ridiculous that somebody his age shouldn't have went for, and we all be like, oh, Undertaker looks fragile. And can we talk about that part as well, when the Undertaker actually was fragile in the match?
Oh, that was so good.
So good. And like Katey was all like, oh, he really is fucked, isn't he? The Undertaker's making those. Like, he's working you here. Like,
yeah.
You know,
No, I didn't like that he blew Carl Anderson up because he was still on the roof and all that.
Oh, yeah. R.I.P. Machine Gun.
But I loved it because it was shot like a Western.
Yeah.
Like it was all shot from like shooting from the bottom up towards Undertaker to make him seem larger than life, and like the entrance and stuff. Like it was proper cinematic. Like I loved it. And it was funny as well. Like him appearing behind AJ on the tractor and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, Katey's best pop. Alright, this is perfect, right? I was really intrigued with it because, like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, they're doing the cinematic thing. They're doing like the hardest shit. Yeah. Right? And so the two of them are there, they're giving their back and forths, you know what I mean? Oh, Undertaker, you're too old. And Undertaker's back to AJ like, oh, I'm about to whoop your ass, whatever. Like, the second AJ, if you watch it back, the second AJ reaches down and they show the shot of him grabbing a rock, all right? The Undertaker blocks it. The second that happens, Katey goes, she goes, all right, holy fuck, a rock! AJ went rock, she was like, holy fuck, a rock!
But you know what? That was the expectations for the match, that the first move was going to be a rock to the side of the head.
AJ says he's going to pick up a rock and just clunk it, and then they go on the side of the head with it.
And yeah, I love Firefly Funhouse as well. I don't think I can pick a favourite. If I was pushed, maybe the Boneyard, but I don't know. But I think John Cena needs more credit because I don't think the Firefly Funhouse would have worked with any other wrestler.
Yeah.
Like, he's the only person with that kind of history, and like, you know, I thought he was such a good sport about everything because they really kind of went through all the shitty things in his career. Like, even when he started singing Nikki Bella's theme song, you know?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
All these little touches. She was live tweeting Mania with her fiance. Like, oh yeah, no, I love both of them. Like, that made WrestleMania worth it.
It was fantastic. What I loved about this, and I also want to throw in another thing, the intro package for WrestleMania. What I loved about these and the intro package were they were self-aware. They were ripping the piss out of themselves. Like, they had this, you expect now the dramatic WrestleMania entrance package, and then when they pause it and rewind it, and they're like, no, we have to get more dramatic and put pirates in, and the wrestlers are even looking confused at what's happening around them and stuff. I thought it was fantastic, because you're like, this is WrestleMania, and it's a challenging WrestleMania, and WWE are instead taking this moment to rip the fucking piss. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, it had me from the word go with that. And then I was open to everything else. But these I loved. I loved it so much. Like you said, Phil, like, if this was Undertaker for the rest of his career, I'm totally happy with this. This is me. Like, imagine a Kane match in another type of these matches. Because with the Kane feud, they had all the storyline, all the kind of, like, chemistry in terms of personality-wise, but they never had chemistry in the ring. Their matches always sucked. So imagine we ended up getting a definitive Kane match. Imagine that was his last match and it was this style of match where they got to edit it and be badass. It was such a clever way to use Undertaker as well, like, because as well, like, we didn't even bring up, they brought back the American Badass here. They confirmed it, like, with the headband and all. Like, it was just perfect. Like, on the motorbike coming out to Metallica and stuff like that. It was like, yes, finally you're bringing it. And I just didn't expect it. It just took me on a thrill ride for 20 minutes. I was just smiling the entire time. They're so charismatic. They're like, the fact that they leaned into the cheese of it all, where they didn't shy away from it. They weren't embarrassed by it. They weren't trying to make it seem cool. They were just like, no, we're going to do cheesy and we're going to do fun. And this is your main event for the first night of WrestleMania. Deal with it, guys. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm all in on this. The Firefly Funhouse, I spoke about the experience watching it. That's what I'll always remember as well. Just the what the fuckness of it all. The throwbacks to so many things. Again, WWE leaning into some of the things that it gets criticised for and just making a joke out of it and turning it into something really entertaining. WWE being self-aware at a time when they're afraid to mention the coronavirus and they don't want to talk about Saudi Arabia, and that's like we're almost the complete opposite of what we're used to from WWE. To just do a left turn like that when it counts is kind of what keeps us all hooked on WWE. Of the two, I'm probably slightly more Team Boneyard, just because it took me so much by surprise that just the experience of watching it was just fucking joyous. But I love the Firefly Funhouse as well for the reasons Cian said, because it was just so random and crazy and funny that it's tough to pick between the two. But like, guys, we kind of talked about that there. Like, with all that's going on, with the fears and apprehensions we had, and after now being on the other side and experiencing it, was it worth WWE doing a WrestleMania in the end? Were you like happy that they went for it and that they actually like achieved like a WrestleMania over 2 nights? On the other side of it now, how are you feeling, Corporate King?
Something that dawned on me while I watched it was all the kids watching that are probably shit scared right now because of like, you know, the virus, and they obviously don't know what the fuck's happening. Yeah. And like, it reminds me of like not to make us feel old, but like when the swine flu was happening, right? I was like 10, and it scared the fucking shit out of me, and that was nowhere near as big as this.
Yeah.
And like, as I was watching it, I was like, if I was a kid now watching, well, I kind of basically am, but like, if I was like, but if I was like a young kid now watching wrestling, would I really give a shit that there's no fans? Probably not. Like, yeah, it'd be different, but I wouldn't be like, oh, this ruins it, you know what I mean? Yeah. The potential. Think about the potential. You know what I mean? Yeah. A kid's just going to watch that and enjoy it. And at the end of the day, did it serve as a distraction? I'm going to be honest with you, right? So after night 2, when the Firefly Funhouse match happened, and I'm there checking Twitter, and everyone's talking about it, positive, negative, not just the Funhouse match, but every match, you know what I mean? Everyone's talking about the show, everyone has their opinions. When 6 o'clock came around, and I got my daily RTE News, X amount of people have died from coronavirus text, I actually went, oh shit, yeah! Like, I actually genuinely did, like, for a minute, like, forget the situation I was in. Yeah. Even though I didn't, like, particularly enjoy the show that much, I'm not going to lie, like, it did technically work. I did get distracted. And I doubt I'm the only person. I'd say it did for the weekend that was in it, put a lot of people's minds off the situation they're in. So I suppose you could argue for that reason, yeah, like they could have saved certain matches for later on when there's crowds, and they could have done things maybe a bit differently. But I think for the cinematic matches and just for distracting people, I think maybe it was worth putting on.
That's a really, really great point. And I think a lot of people will have felt the same. Like, even whether you liked it or not, for a weekend of our lives, we got to go back, and however you experienced it, even if you hated it, like, wrestling Twitter came alive again, and all of a sudden we're having a discussion about, like, is WWE great or is it shit? And then, like, where we're discussing that, we get it, like, we don't have any sports to have those kind of discussions again. Like, so it felt nice to be able to just for one weekend, just, like, switch off and just have it. Now, here's the thing. I loved that weekend. I loved everything about it. I loved how, like, the Saturday came by. I was kind of like looking after myself for a WrestleMania, and I liked that experience. And then I watched the first night, and then I felt much better about it because I liked a lot of the matches, and then I liked the Boneyard match. That it allowed me to be positive on Sunday. And then I watched the WWE Network documentaries, and that made me actually look forward to the second night of it. And then we had the Low Blow Zoom party, and then in between you had all that wrestling discussion and debate, and just being able to think about something else, something new, was just such a relief. It was. I really liked that weekend. I was such a fan of it. And yeah, like, even with all the no audience wrestling, like all that going on, and we were dreading it coming up to it, I'm so pleasantly surprised. And WWE are getting a lot of goodwill, and I think that's why, because they took people's minds off it. For better or for worse, if you're arguing about WWE, you're not focusing on actual things that matter and are really shitty in the world right now. So that's a positive. Katey Harvey, Phil Boyd, we'll leave the last word with you. Guys, how did you feel coming out of WrestleMania? Was it worthwhile doing in the end?
I just want the last word to be that I was right about Randy Orton and Edge being the second longest Mania match. Undertaker went 31 minutes and 54 seconds.
Oh.
And this before Edge and Orton, the second longest match was the Fatal 4-Way, which went 36 minutes. Edge and Orton went 39 minutes bell to bell.
Okay.
That's a hard match.
That was Mania.
No, they had one.
Well, look, I've googled a few different
They had like
pages,
3 matches in
and
it.
they've all said that I'm right. So, yeah, I'm glad they done Mania because it was a distraction for the weekend.
I'm keep it short as well. Like, look, and I'll never really say a bad word about WWE. I'll always love it, but it was a hell of a show, and yeah, I'm delighted they did it.
Yeah, it was. And like, look, speaking of distractions, now it's our turn to distract you from everything. Now it's our turn to do what WWE did with the Firefly Funhouse and distract you with silly shit. Because it's time for you guys to take over control of the show. It's time for Ask Low Blows. I'm going to hand you over to your regular Ask Low Blows host, Corporate Cian. He's going to take it from here.
Oh, like, we're not taking a break, like, we're just going straight in?
No, we're doing the full, this is the show. We're just doing one long show.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, here we are then. Yeah.
Do you want a break?
Cool. No, fuck it, we're here. Might as well just get on with it.
I thought you knew that.
At Chloe_Lynch, what Mania match did you like best and which did you dislike the most? I mean, we kind of already sort of ran through that. Yeah. Any extra bit of input or?
Boneyard likes best. Fucking Elias Corbin likes least.
Second.
Yeah, same.
Cian?
Firefly Funhouse, best match ever. This, I don't know what match is my least favourite. Maybe, I don't fucking know. Well, thanks for the question, Chloe. Scott_Aspel, do you think a 2-night WrestleMania could be something WWE may be interested in down the line, or do we continue to see 7+ hour manias? Rick.
Yeah, like I think WWE took advantage of this situation in a lot of ways to try out the cinematic side of things, and I think we're going to see more of that. And also as well, I think this was a soft trial of a 2-night WrestleMania, because I think that's something that, like, there was no reason for them to do 2 nights and not do a 6-7 hour show, other than they probably have talked about it and they probably saw New Japan do it successfully earlier in the year. So they're like, we may as well try it out now. And I think it was a massive success. 2 3-hour shows for me. I know, Katey, you watched it in a different way, but like 2 3-hour shows for me, they're really digestible. They allow you to have that day in the middle where you're just talking about that, and you're not like talking about how long the show is. You're actually talking about the content and the matches and digesting that, and then you get to look forward to the second night as well because you feel like you're having enough. Definitely, I think this should be the new WrestleMania. Like, if you're wondering what to do with NXT TakeOver, just make WrestleMania week a whole thing. Do the TakeOver on the Wednesday, the Hall of Fame on the Thursday, SmackDown on the Friday, and then your 2-night WrestleMania, and then Monday Night Raw. But it is much more digestible this way than a 6-7 hour Mania. I'm going to watch, maybe not all of it, but I'm going to watch parts of this Mania again. Whereas it's the same length as last year's was, but when I think of last year's, I'm like, no, it's so long. But this year's the exact same length because they broke it up. I don't feel that way, so I probably will go back to it. What are your own thoughts, Katey, Phil?
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm well up for a 2-night Mania.
I said earlier on, there's too many main events, so 2-night Mania is perfect. You're able to break it up that you actually get a main event per night. And I think in a couple of years of doing this format, no one's going to care about like the main event the first night compared to the main event the second night. Like, yeah. So I think once it happens a couple of times, we won't even care about like the Saturday or Sunday main event.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that's the way forward.
Yeah, I was initially dead against like two-night WrestleManias. I know we've discussed it in the past, but after actually trying it, no, it's way better. Like, I'm with everyone else now. It's way better. Yeah. A lot more digestible, as you said. And, yeah, I think it gives them more time to get the most out of the matches, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Nothing gets squashed in the middle of a 7-hour show. I don't know. It's good. But yeah, thanks for the question, Scott. At Clueless Nerd, after the love for the Boneyard match, do you think matches like that are the best way to book The Undertaker every year? And do you think WWE should do more cinematic style matches like it? So the first one we've kind of already answered. Am I right in saying you both said yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone's in agreement. But should WWE do more cinematic style matches like it? So this divided people. I saw this on Twitter. Obviously, I've said what I feel about it. I fucking love cinematic style matches. I think they're probably my favorite. Other people are saying, would you not just watch a fucking B-rated fucking movie? I don't know. I enjoy it. I really enjoy seeing like wrestlers kind of enter that new world, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? That kind of, I don't know, different universe. But what, I don't know. Like Katey, what do you think about fucking? You went to film school, so what do you fucking think about seeing films and wrestling mix? Is it a good mix or what?
That sounded so accusing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? I think only certain wrestlers should have access to them. So, like, I love the idea of the Fiend pulling John Cena into his world. Whereas, like, a cinematic match, I don't think would work between, like, just two random wrestlers. You know, you could, Elias and Corbin, that couldn't have been cinematic. But, like, it works for the Fiend, it works for the Undertaker, it works for Matt Hardy because their characters have that extra edge to them. So I think once you pick the character to anchor it, I think, yeah, there should be more.
Would it not be really funny though to see like Angelo Dawkins versus Zack Ryder in like a mad cinematic epic like blockbuster fucking type movie?
It would be, but overall I don't think it would benefit them or WWE.
I don't know.
Imagine undercard, like that's a question in itself for next week, guys. Said that in undercard and what kind of cinematic thing? Like for example, Titus O'Neil where he gets caught in a dream where he's sliding forever. And it's just in terms of like whether they should or will do, I think they definitely should, and I think they definitely will. What I'm interested in is do you think there were old timers watching it going like, I can't wrestle anymore, but I could definitely do that. They were just punching and acting. Like, I'm thinking of like a Stone Cold Steve Austin Broken Skull Ranch type match at next year's WrestleMania.
Wait. Oh, imagine we got Undertaker versus Sting in this sort of match.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Wait to see me and Justy at the next episode.
Actually, what do you think about indie promotions? All like kind of. There's all this talk on people on Twitter saying, I hope indie promotions don't try and touch this and try and, do like a Lidl or Aldi version of it. I personally do want to see indie promotions badly copy what they see, but what do you think?
I've already heard of one idea that is almost definitely going to happen. I won't spoil it, but I've already heard of one idea that I know is almost definitely going to happen. I'll tell you after if you haven't heard yourselves.
I can guess what it is already.
But don't say it because you might guess correctly. but there's one idea that's definitely going to happen. And I'm all about it. As soon as I heard like the name, I'm like, yeah, I'm in. Yeah, I want to see that. I need to see that. So I know it's going to happen for a fact. And yeah, I'm into it. Cause do it. Rip the piss well. Like do a Trinity brawl on it. Yeah, hell yeah. They're doing like Trinity brawl stuff.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like this...
I forgot. They've actually already done it. I think we'd all like to see a bit of cinematic, you know what I mean? A bit of fun.
Do you know what as well, just to add to that, right? The WWE trend for when they have a good idea is to do it forever until you're sick of it. So I worry that that's what's going to happen in that, like, you will get, like, generic SmackDown matches being like, just, oh, stop, lads, this is not worth it. Where it's Elias just with a guitar, and it's like an ode to guitar. And it's like, no, it's not. This isn't enough. Sorry. Yeah.
Right, the next question is actually really serious. It's not even a question. I don't know why. I don't know why it's serious, but we're gonna. It's serious, so we're gonna need to all knuckle down and. Okay, you ready? At Paul Eyes on Me. I'd like to apologise to Mr. Small Package for starting a cocktail sausage chant at the Limerick Phoenix Wrestling show. Right, for those of you that don't know, right, when this chant was started, Phil was never the same again. Anybody who saw Phil after that moment, like it's like the pre and post that moment. It's like the Phil equivalent of like when Katey broke her elbows. This ruined Phil's life. This ruined everything. He's just not recognizable anymore. So Phil, after suffering a cocktail sausage chant at Phoenix and Limerick, like how have you? Can you accept Paul on his apology?
Yeah, no, I can't, because you know what? That broke it. Right? As a performer, I just had a really good night. I just beat the hell out of Matt Schuyler, tapped his ass out. Even had a lad called G-Train, Graham McCormick, that 5-0 undefeated Irish boxer. I intimidated him so bad he never even got in the ring again. And then I went home that night, and all I could think about was that cocktail sausage chant. And to be honest, I don't accept your apology, Paul.
I'm sorry, Paul.
This is the first time I've heard this story, and it is gas.
I'm glad it was the last moment in your life, because it was the last moment of mine.
Well, thanks for the question, Paul. It wasn't a question, but thanks nonetheless. And I'm sorry your apology wasn't accepted. At NJMCKK, don't know if I'm meant to pronounce that differently, but sorry. Favorite OTT match? Rick.
Five-way tag or Devlin against Walter.
All right, Katey, what are your are your favorite matches you've wrestled in or matches you watched?
Matches I've watched. If I am picking one I wrestled in against Valkyrie at Defiant is my favorite, but I have the same two as Rick. They were brilliant. And then a couple of smaller underrated ones. Michael May versus Charlie Sterling at Contenders. Yeah. One of my favorite matches. Gas. Lucha Bros versus More Than Hype. I need to sit and think, Devlin and Walter is such an obvious answer. That's why I like to give shout outs to maybe, some of the matches that go under the radar but are really good. The night of Gymnastics won the tag titles is one of my favourite moments in OTT.
That was one of my answers. That was one of my answers. I fucking love that match.
Really good.
I've been going to OTT. Someone posted on Twitter a few days ago. It's been 4 years since I started going to OTT, and in all the Dublin shows they've done since then, I've only missed one. So that's a lot of matches. You know what I mean? So to pick a favourite out of all that, again, obvious ones would be anything involving Devlin, Walter, Starr, maybe the Ospreay or any of them. But I'm also going to pick one that's under the radar a bit. Raven Creed versus Sami Zayn from Defiant 2, the main event, was fucking amazing. Simply because, if you look at it now, it probably doesn't have the same impact because Raven Creed is kind of like a star now and everybody knows, former champion and all that. But at this stage, no one, she was a lot more under the radar. And nobody really saw this result coming, but everyone wanted it. And it was also a face turn, which I love face turns as well. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot to it. I've talked about it before on the show, of why it was one of my favorite matches. I also loved Sami Zayn versus Katey Harvey from OTT Belfast, the last time I was there. Seeing Katey bottle it was really funny, and I would absolutely replay it for my own entertainment. 2016 OTT, there's, if you look at all the Tivoli days, they're actually doing something on Saturday, I think. Am I right in saying that?
On Saturday.
Yeah, Gems of the Tivoli. So I'm interested to see what matches they put in that. There's loads. Again, Scrapmania 2 was my first show, so I loved Luther Ward versus Pete Dunne. I thought that was deadly. I was going crazy for that when that was a thing. Ryan Smile had a load of good matches in 2016. Kings of the North had loads of great matches as well. It was just so many to choose from. I don't know. We'll wait and see anyway. What happens on Gems of the Tivoli? Where am I? Thanks for the question, NJMCKK.
I respect that you went for it again.
At Declan Byrne, 32. Hey. I remember Rick saying on an old Low Blows that the owners of Courage wanted to do that Paul Heyman promo. Well, I hope the first Fight Factory show back, Rick does a Vince McMahon ruthless aggression type promo with all the wrestlers at ringside.
Oh God! Only bad things can come of that.
Rick Ryan, the troops.
I'd love to do a bad version of that. I'd love to do a shit one where it's just right, that's or David Brent version where it's oh, lads, what are you going to do? Oh, come on, yeah. Just a really, where there's no one reacting, I'd be totally up for that. But trying to do a serious one, I'm cringing already thinking of it. No.
Well, Declan will buy into it, and that's, that's a plus. But he also asked another question, sorry. Any rejection stories you want to share? I once got rejected because of my grammar. The woman I asked out did not want to go out with someone with bad grammar. That is the actual reason she gave me. Katey, would you ever go out with somebody with bad grammar?
I just actually want to say to Declan that she's not good enough for you. And you shouldn't feel bad.
Yeah. No, I agree, yeah.
You are a great lad. I just want... Yeah.
Part of the fact you're a Rovers fan,
No, I'm fairly a bottler talking to people, so I don't know if I've ever been rejected. Kevin Nash rejected me after PWU. That's it. I don't really have an answer. I'm sorry, Declan.
I don't know.
Rick, do you have any...
I don't know. My fucking love life is a glorious mess, and it's probably where I get most of my decent stories from. So yeah, I have a few for this. I'm only going to give you one for now. I remember once, right? I was in Mantra nightclub, and this is genuinely like an episode of The In-Betweeners, but it happened in my life. I swear to God, right? I'm in Mantra nightclub in Maynooth. This is a few years back, and I got talking to a girl at the side of the dance floor, and we were getting along well. She was very attractive. We were getting along well. It was going great. Couldn't have been going better. Then in the middle of it, a guy in a wheelchair rolled over and started talking to her. Now, like, anyone who knows, like this is a fucking life skill. When a guy walks up and starts talking to a girl that you're chatting up, like, you're kind of like, you don't know what to do, because you're like, a lot of people will get into a bro off, and they'll start trying to be like the alpha dog of the situation, like, you know, grabbing the guy's shoulder and be like, hey bro, and you're trying to Matt Riddle the shit out of him. You're like, bro, but, or do you just like kind of like try compete, or do you do that awkward thing where you try and include yourself and force yourself into the situation, laughing at jokes that you don't understand, like, oh yes, we're all having laughs. So this was made more complicated by the fact that it was someone in a wheelchair. Now, the correct answer is that hopefully you'll have a good friend who can, like, help you out and try and manipulate the situation into the other guy going away and be a wingman. I didn't have one of them. I had my friend Dave beside me. Now, Dave is nicknamed in the group as Damn It Dave, because he's one of those kind of guys. If anyone watched Parks and Recreation, he's a Jerry. He's the guy that we all kind of pick on because he'll always fuck things up. Or, like, literally, even if he does something right, it's still, damn it, Dave, shut up, Dave. Like, that's Dave, alright? So I walk up to, like, he comes up and he's like, what's the story, bud? And I'm like, Dave, get rid of the other guy. And he's like, he's in a wheelchair. What am I supposed to do? I'm like, that's easy. Wheel him away. And he was like, I'm not going to wheel him away. And I'm like, oh, come on, man. Like, oh, do us a solid. Like, we're getting on great. And, like, he's just coming in and I can't do it. And he's in a wheelchair. And then he's like, oh, no. Now, he didn't do it. And there would have been a great story. I live forever thinking about what he would have done if he had, because I had a plan for what the next stage was. I was going to immediately turn on Dave. And then I was going to be, like, whoa, what are you doing, person I've never met before? I'm like, you're a horrible person. And then, like, at the same time, like, I demonstrate to the girl that I'm a person who's a nice person. The guy in the wheelchair now looks like a person who can't defend himself. He looks weak. So I am all of a sudden the dominant, but also friendly and helpful male in this situation. Dave's a creep, but he's always going to be a creep. He's a Dave, so that didn't make any difference to anyone's life. And then, yeah, that's what happened, but it didn't. Dave refused it. He's a big smelly bottler, and I ended up just walking away defeated by the guy in the wheelchair. Fair play to him, though. I'm no grudges or anything. I'm not still like.
Are you okay, Rick?
I'm not salty about it. Like 8 years later. 8 years, 4 days, and 2 months later.
Well, Declan, I would say, you can't get rejected if you don't ask. That's a proper big brain move. But yeah, I'd like to reiterate what Katey said. If someone's not going to go out with you because of your grammar, then you don't want to go out with them. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you're better than that. Thanks for the questions, Declan. At Dave Bandana. Been watching #BigMouth lately on Netflix, so I'm feeling inspired to ask you, when was the first time you were friend-zoned by someone that you had or still have a crush on? I mean, I haven't used the term friend-zone since I was about 12. But what is, do either you have a an answer for this?
I don't think there is a friend zone. I think that's just a thing that. Now I know it's great for TV and stuff, so I'm sure Big Mouth it tells a good story. I don't know it myself, but like. I don't think there is a thing as a friend zone. I just think people sometimes just don't fancy you, like, and I think lads tell themselves this to like make it feel better. They're like, she would fancy me, but I got caught in the friend zone. It's not because she thinks I'm an absolute munter. It's because I'm in this mysterious, mythical zone that like I could have got out of if I'd have just handled the situation. No, it's not. She's just not that into you, like. So I don't believe in the friend zone. So I don't have a story. Anyone who hasn't been into me hasn't been into me because not because they were so careful about our friendship. It's just because they weren't that into me, and that's fine. So yeah, I don't buy it. Katey, have you ever been friend zoned?
No, I think what you're saying is spot on. It's not like women collect people and then categorize them. You know, like
that's one for the friend zone. So yeah,
I don't really have an answer either. Like, I don't have an answer. I'm sorry, and I don't know what Big Mouth is, but I've heard it's good. So maybe I'll watch it and have a better answer. I don't know.
Phil, have you ever been friend zoned?
Never been from one long-term relationship into another, breaking the hearts of many women along the way.
I'm sure you have, bro.
Yeah. So, as I said to Declan, you know what I mean? You can't get rejected if you don't ask. So, with this, I'd say, you can't get put in the friend zone if you're just a complete arsehole. You know what I mean? So, just don't make friends, and you can't be put there. So it's all right. No, I don't have a story that answers the question. Sorry, Dave. I wish I had a better answer, but I don't. So sorry. At Mr. Lindablock. Fuck, marry, kill, Resident Evil special. I've never seen Resident Evil or played it or whatever, so I'm out of this. But Ada Wong, Ada Wong, Claire Redfield, Jill Valentine. Fuck, marry, kill.
No, you need to read out the next sentence. I included this, so you'd have to read out the next sentence.
Rick says that for him it's fuck. Wait, did you say it or did John say it?
No, John said it.
Oh, okay. So for John, he says for him it's fuck Claire. She looks like a goer.
Why?
Marry Jill. She'd look after me in the event of an apocalypse. Kill Ada, treacherous wench. I don't know any of these people, so I'm just gonna. What's your input, Rick?
Oh, I love questions where I'm like, I can't wait for Cian to have to read out the words treacherous wench. For me, I don't know. I like. Ada is, she's treacherous, but she's also the hottest of the three, so I'd fuck her. Claire and Jill would both make fine wives. Jill is, she can handle herself like a bit better, like she's like combat trained and stuff like that. So like again, similar to John, she's the kind of person who'd like look after you and help you, and whereas Claire is kind of a liability that you have to mind. Now she's a nice person, so I don't think she'd make a bad wife, and it's very unlikely that we're going to be caught in an apocalypse style situation. Although being with Claire Redfield would make you increasingly more likely to be in an apocalypse style situation, since the only time I've ever seen her is when she's in an apocalypse. But I'd say Jill would be the marry of the two, which leaves Claire by default as the kill. Have either of you guys, Phil, have you played Resident Evil?
Oh, he's gone to put on dinner.
Oh, that's fair. What's he cooking?
He's cooking some kind of Moroccan chicken thing and potato skins with bacon and cheese.
That's just fancy chicken nuggets. Fancy chicken nuggets and chips. Just eat chicken nuggets and chips like the rest of us. Come on.
Have you played Resident Evil?
Never. No. I played an episode, level or two. I was really big fan.
So you haven't decided what characters you want to fuck?
Wait, Resident Evil was one where you start with a guy or a girl, was it?
Yeah.
No. Oh, I don't know.
But the girl was real crap because the guy had a gun.
Yeah, there's a few different ones. So like, but it usually is a guy and a girl.
I don't think he will have an answer for that.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Yes.
Never played it either. Actually, no, I've seen the film and my old man crush is in it, so can I just pick him?
Who's the man crush?
Bill Fichtner. He was Mahone in Prison Break.
Okay.
He's my old man crush, so he's in that.
Wait, Mahone in Prison Break. Hang on, which one was that again?
In season 2, he's the agent that's chasing them.
Oh, I googled him. I remember this lad. Holy shit! Yeah. Man, I haven't seen Prison Break so I was like 12.
Stop doing that to me.
And that's like, and I was already out a few years like by the time I watched it as well, which makes it even like older. But anyway, yeah, we've answered that one. Thanks for the question, I suppose, John. At Joe Stodge, upon further assessment, how cool are the lights on my TV now? Again, it's an audio medium, so we can't show it to you. It is on Twitter. I'm gonna stand by my point, which is fucking deadly. But Rick, Katey, you both obviously objected to it. So what are your thoughts on it now?
Katey, are you still against the lights on the TV?
No, they actually look a lot better now.
Yeah, told us.
To be honest, if you wanted to see this, you should have been on the Low Blow Zoom party for WrestleMania, because I actually got to watch like half matches of WrestleMania in his TV, because I think Joe came on that Zoom for the sole purpose of changing our minds about the TV. And do you know what? It worked. I'm into it. When you see it actually play out, it adds a nice ambiance to the room. It's not tacky. It's very like subtle. But it's just because I like rooms that I'm a lamp rather than a big light guy. I think big light people are psychopaths.
Big lights are weird, man. I hate them. They'd be sick. Don't like them.
Katey, are you a big light person? Are you a big light person or are you a lamp person?
I'm a candle person.
A what? A candle? Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
What? I always turn off the big light and light candles.
That's okay.
We'll just use a lamp. Like, would a lamp not be like a million times easier? You just have to press the button and it's on. You know what I mean? Like, what if your candle falls over and like your whole house burns down? You know what I mean? Like, you have to be careful with these things. I just use a lamp, like.
I wasn't allowed to have candles growing up. My dad has a thing about candles. He just will not allow them in the house. So as soon as I moved out, I naturally just bought hundreds of candles. And it's what I use to light my way now.
Light your way? Well, like, you're also sort of fucking quest, like.
Alright, calm down. This isn't a fucking Instagram post.
Yeah, I'm like my wife.
Find a way to light your way. Shut up, baby. Joe, your lights are nice. Alright, your lights are nice. That's
the question.
Full U-turn.
Nice. I'm very proud that I stuck with the it's fucking cool camp, because now we're the winners.
You're a visionary. You're a visionary.
Joe. Exactly. At Kento CCFC, what's your go-to Easter egg? Well, Rick, I suppose we'll start with you. I mean, I'm not really... What's your chocolate of choice?
Cadbury's cream egg. And I'm going to say this louder because my parents are in the house and they never get this for me. They always get me mini eggs. Cadbury's cream egg. So... Yeah, that's you've literally heard me drop the hint live, and watch next week as I return to find out that yes, I in fact got a mini egg Easter egg. Cadbury's cream egg.
Just be grateful you get any fucking egg, you prick.
No, I asked them specifically. I'm looking at cream eggs here that I bought for myself because I know that I won't get them when the time comes. That's where we're at this stage. Like, it's the same price. It's the same price.
How angry you are at this one.
It gets me hot, like. I talk to therapists about this and all, like, it's a big deal.
Katey, what's your are you as passionate as Rick about Easter eggs and stuff?
I am, yeah. I like a giant Kinder egg. That's my favourite. But this year I've requested one that I've seen for the very first time. It's an orange Smartie egg.
Ooh, is the egg orange?
See, I'm surprised. I'm surprised that you didn't do you didn't go for like a Nutella Easter egg. Like you only take 2 bites out of it and then just leave it. That's what I was waiting for you to say. But an orange Smartie egg, I mean, that sounds alright. I suppose.
I started making Nutella shortbread, so like I've been getting my fix that way.
Do you only take 2 bites out of it, like, or how does your weirdness work in there?
I just have a tray that I've just been picking at, like, for the last week.
But very methodically and always the same amount every day.
I'm not weird about my food, okay?
Yeah. So when it comes to Easter eggs, I'm not really as passionate as anyone else. Like it's a bit of a like whatever answer, but fucking yeah, I'm just happy with whatever I get. Like I mean, Cadbury and Nestle, like anything that I'd recognise, you know, I'd probably prefer. Like my favourite chocolate would be like maybe Whisper or Mars, so maybe something like that. But I don't really. I'm kind of happy with whatever. I find like in terms of the actual egg itself, it tends to be the same. Like for me, I don't really. How do you break Easter eggs, by the way?
With your hands.
Like do you elbow drop it or like headbutt it or anything? No.
No, I just stick my tongue through it.
Do a Ric Flair
That's
on it. Throw your jacket on it, and then do a strut, and then elbow drop the jacket.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
You do a frog splash on it or like something cool. Or like flying knee or something, you know what I mean?
Nah, leave the frog.
You just break it with your thumb. Yeah, fucking. No, yeah, no, so I wish I had a better answer. I wish I had the same passion that Rick has when it comes to the subject, but I really don't. So whatever is in the shop, whatever I get, I'm happy. But thanks for the question, Kato. At Bittersweet Chin M, at Keith, hi Keith. Any weird habits crept up during the lockdown that you've noticed? Katey, start with you. Do you have any weird habits?
I don't have any weird habits, full stop.
Okay.
All right, Nutella, calm down.
No, I haven't noticed anything new creeping in.
You know, Katey started running.
Oh yeah, I do.
But this doesn't.
There you go, like.
This doesn't sound out of the blue for a professional wrestler to do. But Katey has never ran in her life.
I hate it so much.
And we've ran in the last 4 days, and she's getting good at it, in fairness. Like, she's we did some distance today in a short amount of time. What was it, 4 minute kilometre?
Yeah.
Which is like really good for Katey.
Hey, yesterday I did finish my lap by just chanting Rhea Ripley to myself just as motivation.
There's your weird habit.
Wait, how long did you say your run was? How long did you say your run was?
I think it was 4K?
Kilometres?
Yeah. No.
4K. Arrest Katey. Anybody listening to this now, arrest Katey. There's a 2 kilometre radius. We're not allowed to break it. Katey's getting arrested.
We ran 2K out and 2K back in.
Yeah.
Don't I hardly hear, lads. Can we arrest Katey? I don't know. Rick, do you have any weird habits?
No, I've only picked up good habits because, I'm actually really proud. Like, now it's starting to come in as normal because I'm working 9 to 5:30 Monday to Friday now. But the difficult part when you're working from home is that, everything just becomes like lying in your bed all day or watching Netflix or something. So I've actually got really disciplined now where it's like I have a routine. I've started doing running. I'm not as fit as the other guys, so I'm doing couch to 5K. I'm starting that again. I did it a few years ago, but I hate cardio, so I've done no cardio since. So I'm starting from the start again. But I'll go in, I'll do my day's work, and then I'll go out for a run, and then I'll come home, have a shower, cook dinner, and then I'll watch a bit of TV. But I'm not watching TV when I shouldn't be. I'm still listening to all my podcasts. I'm still doing all my reading, which is an important thing to me, and keeping up on top of everything. So now I feel like I'm really in the mold, and also as well I'm socializing with people through Zoom or Microsoft Teams as well. I'm having sessions and I'm making plans with people now, and I'm starting to it's becoming the new normal for me, and I'm actually I'm out of my original coronavirus funk. So I'm really happy with how things are going because it's a really easy time to get lazy and just let everything fucking drop. But I'm growing my hair out. I want to look like a lion by the end of this. So that's a weird goal, I guess. So that's about it.
That feels dead. Yeah, I'm gonna in terms of weird habits. You see, before all this, I didn't like leaving my house, and I'd always avoid people whenever possible. Anyway, so it's kind of the same. The only difference is now, obviously I don't leave the house to do low blows anymore. I don't leave the house to go to wrestling shows. So I'll end up, days and days and days in the house. So my plan is to start doing late night walks so I don't bump into anybody along the way. Because I went shop last week And fucking like the amount of people that were out when I was on the way to the shop, just like it was way more than normal. Do you know what I mean? Just out walking and stuff. So like if I am to start walking, then I will absolutely not start running. Fuck that. But I might start walking. And it'll be probably late at night, which maybe is a bit weird, but it'll be nice and quiet. And social distancing and all that. But yeah, nothing too strange, nothing too weird. I'm very very much occupied despite being on lockdown and stuff. But yeah, if anyone has any weird habits that they've developed during this lockdown, tweet us in at #lowblows.
There you go.
Yeah, that was a very nice end to that. That was solid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was It would have been more professional if I didn't elaborate on how professional I thought it was. But it's a good start.
Gotta be
thanks for the question, Keith. At Kirk Cooper HM, more for Rick and Katey. Sorry, Cian. Right, Kirk. First thing I have to tell you is, whether you like it or not, I'm gonna answer your fucking question. Even if I've no expertise in the area, I'm gonna fucking answer it. So I hate to break it to you. Also, your question actually, I am more likely to answer your question than a question about movies, believe it or not. So, and we get a lot of movie questions, so I hate to break it to you. When did you start feeling like you would call yourself a wrestler? I've been training for 2 years, have about 5 shows under my belt. I've been training for 2 years, have about 5 shows under my belt due to injury, last year's Nordiness, I don't know what that is, and now COVID. But still don't feel like I'm more than a trainee yet. So when did you, Rick, when did you first decide that you could call yourself a wrestler? When did you officially earn the title? When could you turn around to people, Bishop Brennan style, and say, address me by my proper title, you little bollocks?
I just got a new job in work, and I'm going around all day telling people I'm saying that quote to people. It's amazing. For me, it was a weird thing, especially in the Naughties and especially in Irish Whip. Irish Whip was, I like my time there, and I made a lot of friends, and I'll always look back on it fondly. But looking back, it was a really toxic environment where it was you can't be a mark, and you can't be a fan of wrestling, and you can't do this, and you can't call yourself a wrestler. And the bar was constantly changed so that the least amount of people who call themselves wrestlers, because we're getting trained by old school guys who are just looking to bully you and make you feel like shit, like you hadn't done anything. So it was something that I was very self-conscious about, and it was only really when I got to a stage where it would be ridiculous not to call myself. I've done this 5 years now. I've been on RTE. I've been in covered in newspapers. I've got paid to travel places to go do it.
A nationwide star.
Not just that, but I was on what was it, Satitude, the old kids TV show as well. And I was actually
You better return as Hollywood Rock when he came back as a heel. At Fight Factory should be like Hollywood Rick. Nationwide star.
but it was when I'd done a lot, and I was it's ridiculous of me to still have that complex. So I think I was in the same kind of position where Kirk is now, where he's I don't know, I feel like I've done a bit, but I don't know if I can call myself that. And eventually I just look back at it and I'm yeah, I can call myself that, and I've done enough, and I've slaved enough over this that I can call myself without being embarrassed or flinching. I didn't say I was a good wrestler, I just said I was one. It was a job title, it didn't describe competency. That was that. And even then, now, look at me now, I still feel like I have to add a qualifier to it. So it's obviously something that stuck. So I get where you're coming from. I think it's a big thing. But Katey and Phil are the obvious people to ask about this, because you guys are training people in this. Is this still a big deal for people? Because it was back in the day for me that you couldn't call yourself until you'd done this or this or this.
I think it depends, who are you saying this to? You know what I mean? I don't know, it's an odd question.
Everyone, strangers in the street.
I'd love to find out more, because obviously there's a lot going on up there for this to be an issue. But I think generally once you're training and doing shows, you can call yourself a wrestler, because one of my pet hates in wrestling is when people are on shows and they're being paid to wrestle, but they still refer to themselves as trainees. I think you need to present a professional demeanor if you want to be taken as a professional. So I think once you have matches under your belt and you're presenting that image that you're a professional wrestler, it's okay to say that. But I mean, even as long as you've been doing it, you'll still struggle with that a little bit, because it is confidence thing as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think once you start being on shows and being paid to wrestle, that, go for it. Like, present that to the world. You're putting in the work, and obviously you're good enough if you're getting booked and you're getting paid to do it. Like, someone is paying you to do a job. You'd be a little bit worried if you hired a painter and decorator and they refuse to call themselves that, and you're forking over 200 quid to paint your house. Like,
that's a very good point. Yeah.
So, I think you're well entitled to call yourself that if you started doing shows.
I disagree with both of them. I personally, Kirk, what I'd say is just straight away, just stroll in, get like a big replica title in Smith's, and just stroll in and be like, I'm not just a wrestler, I'm the champion. That's it. Basically, it's all in the confidence. You know what I mean? No matter what you say, if you're confident enough, people will believe you. Do you know what I mean? That's actually legitimate advice. But like, so if you walk around, I mean, not all of it. Don't do the title thing. That was a joke. But like. I personally, I'm a backyard wrestling superstar, so I always ask the people to address me as such. So I'd say straight away, Kirk, don't fuck about with it. You're a wrestler now.
I remember we had one guy come in training, and like I was never an official trainer, but I did help out the guys. Like whenever there was a lot of trainees and stuff, and I remember there was a new trainee who came in, and he had the exact same fuck you kind of confidence that you were talking about, Cian. You reminded me so much of him when you said that, because they turned around and like this was a kid, this was like a 14-year-old kid. So Katey, you'll know this. Like there's some people that come in and you genuinely like have to kind of tell them that wrestling isn't real, and like you have to have the conversation where you're just smartening them up properly. Like they'll generally know kind of something, but they won't understand kind of properly what works and what doesn't, so you have to smarten them up. So the lads just basically said, here, will you have the chat with him? So I did, so I took him aside, and then like as I started to have the conversation with him, he just kind of pauses me, puts his hand on my on my forearm and goes, "It's okay, I've seen beyond the mat." And I'm like, you know what? We could all be more like that kid. Like, what a legend. Like, he knew nothing, but like, he walked in there with his fuck you energy, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? Just take your moment, kid. Take your moment. Oh, legend.
I respect that. Yeah. So, Kirk, you're a champion now. Thanks for the question. At T Kenny 2622, Queen versus Cian. Winner of the week goes first. It's not 100%. Wait, I'm sorry. Queen versus Cian. Rick shall describe 5 pay-per-view matches, gimmicks, etc. And the normal first to 3 wins. I don't quite understand this question, but it's Rick's job to interpret it. So, Rick, I'm going to pass it over to you.
So I'm going to describe pay-per-views. All right.
Well, like 2006, 2000, or is it like just the name alone?
No, I'll describe specific pay-per-views. So I'll give you clues.
Year and everything like
Yeah. I'll give you clues on what it is, and you have to guess the pay-per-view and the year. Okay.
Oh, okay, you're so done. You are so man. If he picks
actually,
I'm all alone for this.
Oh no, wait. You know what?
Has he yet?
That's a bit unfair. I only kind of realised that in the middle. Like, that's not fair. Right, Katey, if you get enough of the answer right, then I'll allow it. I'll use my discretion on this, because it's not fair to hold you to your. What's the number thing that you have?
Oh, my numerical dyslexia.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold that against you. Like, that's.
Actually, just really quickly. What was the question again?
What?
Pay-per-views.
Was it pay-per-views, or was it like? Was it more so you want to explain pay-per-view matches?
No, he explains the pay-per-view, so he can mention like the matches, the gimmicks. He can mention stuff about the pay-per-view.
Oh, I understand it now.
Okay.
Show. That's the gist of it, yeah?
Yeah. I have 5 pay-per-views here, so I'm going to describe them. Again, if you can get if you say enough that I know what you're talking about, then that's okay. All right. So.
Okay, thanks. I'll see you later.
Bye.
These are getting so
I actually hate you so much. Like.
All right, first pay-per-view. First pay-per-view is one of Katey's favorite wrestlers in the world is in the main event of this pay-per-view.
Cian.
Go.
Bad Blood 2003.
Holy shit, how did you get...
Is that it?
Yeah, it is. It is.
No way! Did I say
is.
last week Kevin Nash and Triple H at the main event? Oh my god. Oh.
Not true. That's user ganging up on me.
I have it here in front of me.
No,
I swear to God, I'll take a picture.
I genuinely get. I'm taking the piss.
I'll take a picture of it and send it in the group chat. I swear to God. It's right here in front
Don't
of me.
send it in the chat now. It's got the other answers on it.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Yes, a pay-per-view out of thousands that have happened from one clue that said one of Katie's favourite wrestlers in the main event.
It was the only right. I knew Katie's favourite wrestler is Kevin Nash, and it's the only pay-per-view I know off the top of my head where Kevin Nash is in the main event.
And
everything else is WCW and all that.
He has brought it up before as his favourite pay-per-view, so it was. Now,
yeah, last week.
There'll be Cian questions and there'll be Katie questions. Don't worry, I've accounted for it.
Was that a Katie question?
No. But I was throwing you off by saying that Katie's favourite wrestler was in the main event. I just didn't think you'd get it that quickly. All right. Second pay-per-view. Big Vito is on this pay-per-view in a singles match.
Cian.
Go.
No Mercy 06.
No, it is not that.
Okay, well, I thought it would work second time.
You're frozen now. The main event of this pay-per-view had Scott Steiner win a world championship.
Katie.
Go.
Is it Slamboree?
It's not that.
Oh, shit.
Cian, you're back in the game.
Let's see what we see here.
The tag team of Goldberg and Dwayne Bruce, whoever that is, are involved in a big match on this pay-per-view.
Oh, this has to be WCW.
Team Canada are involved in this pay-per-view.
Okay, Katie, Bash at the Beach.
It's not that. Katie, you're now frozen out. Shane Douglas is involved on this pay-per-view in a First Blood chain match. There is a penalty box match with Jim Duggan as the special guest referee on this pay-per-view. This sounds awful.
I remember that Shane Douglas match. I believe it was awful.
There's a triple threat hardcore match in this. Involving Terry Funk.
I just don't know the names.
Pal, Phil's back in the room. Pal.
Can I just start naming WCW pay-per-views?
I'm just going to throw it out. I'm going to throw it out there. Right, okay. So you guys, this is a free-for-all. You can just, no frozen out. You can just throw out names.
Halloween Havoc.
No. Cian, you can too.
Creed.
No, it's not that.
New Blood Rising.
Not that.
The Great American Bash.
No, you said that already.
Oh.
Starcade.
No. I don't need the year, just the name.
Halloween Havoc. I said that.
Night of Champions.
It's not that.
Or Clash of Champions.
There's Clash of Champions in WCW. It's not that though.
Hog Wild.
There was only one of these pay-per-views with this name.
For fuck's sake.
It was one on the outside.
No, I'm sorry, I said that. Bash the Beach.
It was I think the last WCW pay-per-view.
Oh, that's Greed. That's definitely Greed.
Okay, it's not. Then if that was the last, then this is not the last.
Oh, okay.
It was the second last pay-per-view.
What does it start with?
Okay, there's 3 letters in this name.
Sin.
There you go, Cian, 2-0. Okay.
Jeff Jarrett.
No way.
Question 3. This is the first WrestleMania that Jim Ross commentated on.
No.
Katie.
Go.
WrestleMania 9.
Oh shit, Katie, back in the game.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. Right. Okay. Next up, there is 3 of these pay-per-views ever, and it's a WWE concept.
Katie.
One I stand.
Katie?
Cyber Sunday.
So, holy shit! How did you get that? Katie, 2-0.
All right.
We are going We are going to the final. It is the 5th question. Winner takes all. Okay, so this is the first ever one of these pay-per-views. Okay? The main event featured Monty Brown.
Oh, fuck.
Kid Cash was on
fuck.
this show.
Oh, no, it's just a complete gamble.
Diamond Dallas Page was on this show.
Who?
Cian,
Go.
Slammiversary?
It's not that. You're now frozen out. There was an Ultimate X match on this show. Go.
Was it Destination X?
It was not that. Cian, you're back in the game. It opened with a 6-man tag team match involving Katey's favorites, Christopher Daniels and Kazarian. Cian, you're in.
Bound for Glory?
It's not that. Cian, you're frozen out. Katey, you're back in. Katey's favorite wrestler is in this match, is in this pay-per-view also.
Katey.
Go.
Lockdown?
It's not that. Cian, you're back in the game.
Cian, Sacrifice.
No. Frozen out. Katey. Raven is on this card. Roddy Piper is a special guest referee on this card.
I've actually ran out of TNA names now.
Oh, deadly.
Okay, I'll let Cian back in. To qualify for the main event, Monty Brown had to defeat both DDP and Kevin Nash in a triple threat match.
What?
King of the Mountain?
What?
No,
Said
the
that
guy from
already.
Match. Did I?
Yeah. And it was a pay-per-view, but you said it already.
What? I already said Slammiversary. It's not that, is it?
Okay, so I'm going to make this easy. So it's fastest finger first, okay? First person,
Right.
shout out your name. There are 2 words in this pay-per-view name.
Cian?
Go.
Oh, why did I say that? Victory Road?
It's not that. Katey, you're back in. 2 words.
Final Destination?
Oh, no, it's not.
Cian, Final Resolution.
Yes, it is. Final Destination is a movie and not a wrestling pay-per-view. Cian, back in the winner's
choose
circle.
that pay-per-view of all the... That's a random one, like.
That's what I wanted. I wanted random because I didn't want to make it too easy for you. I knew you had
was
a
really
major
stressful.
advantage with TNA, so I wanted to make it even. And also, there's a lot of Katey wrestlers on that, so there's a chance you would have known it.
I was like 04, 05 TNA. I didn't know
2005.
anything. But anyway, let me see.
love
Wait, where
this
was I? Oh, yes, Tony. Yeah, thanks for the question, Tony. Thanks for giving me the win again. I appreciate it. At Spudino90, another money-related question. €1 million, but you publicly shit yourself randomly once every calendar month for the rest of your life. So if it happened on the 1st of January, you know you're safe till February. If it's the last day of the month, you know what's happening that day, but that's the extent of your control of it.
This may be your finest hour, Chris. That's fantastic.
Well, I mean, like, I'll take the money, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, I take it hands down, yeah.
It's $1 million.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I'm sure people get used to it.
You've no
Like, it's like a
control.
situation.
You've no control over it, like.
Still.
You've zero control over when you're going to shit yourself. It could happen in a job interview. It could happen on a date. It could happen like...
So what? Own it. So what? If they, you know, if they can't, I mean, I'm sure, like, I mean, if they see the €1 million in your pocket, you know what I mean? I'm sure the date will go fine. You know what I mean?
If you go around with €1 million in your pocket, you're not going to have €1 million in your pocket for very long.
Well,
and then
yeah,
you've
job
just,
interview. I mean,
and then you just
what
shit
even a job
yourself.
interview for? You just want €1 million.
Because $1 million is...
He's in when the $1 million runs out, or the €1 million.
Yeah, you have to do it forever.
Oh, forever.
Yeah. This is it for the rest of your life.
I'll do it if I stop shitting
Shit
myself.
yourself in your-
Gone.
I would not do this.
That's not what he asked, so.
I would not do this.
Yeah, but I mean...
$1 million is not...
You
Okay.
yourself in your brand new gaff that you could buy for like €1 million.
Add an extra zero to that, 10 million, and then I don't need to work again. I can live forever. $1 million is a gaff, a nice car, a holiday, and then you got to work. You still have to work with $1 million, so you could shit yourself any time and work. And then, like, you just that's not a job that you want to have. That's not a life you want to live. Like, it's not worth it.
Once a month.
Oh, once a month. Oh, that's a different story.
If you had a semblance of control over this, like if you had any type of control where you could pick the time, there'd be wiggle room there because you could plan around it. But it can happen at any stage. Like you could still go broke with $1 million, add an extra zero, or give me $1 billion, and I'll bite your hand off. But not for $1 million. No, I'm not taking this deal.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think it's a pretty good deal. So I'll probably take the money.
It seems like you want to do this. It seems like the $1 million is inconsequential to you. You're just like, yeah, I'll shit myself.
You assert your dominance and you own it, and then it doesn't become a problem. Like realistically, actually, no. Yeah, you see, again, the last question, I said I wouldn't do it, and that was like that one. I don't know, but that involved talking to people. The one where you have to like go to people and say like why you found them attractive and all that.
I like your
you see, you don't talk to anybody this kind of, but like it could. Oh no, wait.
You definitely won't talk to people if you shit yourself randomly.
See, that's the thing.
That choice
People
will be taken away from you.
It kind of talked me out of it a bit. I was in. You see, it seemed easy. I was like, yeah, that doesn't sound that bad. And now you've made it sound bad. And now they've made it, like, this is an easy question and you've made it really difficult. And now I've changed your mind.
I would definitely take the money. Like,
no hesitancy.
Like, remember back last year, like, I spent 3 months not being able to go to the toilet by myself. I have no shame. It's just shit.
And you're like, didn't even get a meal for it. All right, fair enough. You lived it.
Yeah, no, fuck it, Rick's, maybe bottle it. But yeah, no, but it's again another one that requires a lot of thinking. So thanks for that question.
Keep them coming, Chris. We love them.
This is the final question. Okay. At Simpsons WWE, what happened to the mad lad / lady in your school? Mine was a lad called Warren who was always in trouble. Last I heard, he was caught by the guards in a car crash on the M1 blitz drunk, but got away with drink driving because he said he started drinking after the crash.
That's not a thing. That's like if you ask someone if they're a cop, they have to tell you they're a cop. Like, I don't believe, who the fuck, like, what police officer believed this? Oh, well, carry on then, good sir. Oh, Katey, Phil, do you have any mad lads or ladies in your school where are they now?
I was the mad lad.
I don't know, like, someone sent me a story a few weeks ago of a girl we went to school with who stabbed her husband to death. They were pretty mad in school.
So.
But I don't live in Bray anymore, so I don't see or hear from many people anymore. So I don't know. That's probably the maddest one I've heard of.
I ended up. I told you my love life was a shit show earlier. This was a prelude to this. I ended up dating the mad lads from my school's baby mama, and I didn't realize. I remember I was out on one of our first dates, and then they kind of explained their situation to me, and then like they're having a conversation with me, and then I'm like, oh, like I was from the same area as them, so like I was like, oh, if you don't mind me asking, like who's the further, because like I might know them, and then like as soon as the words came out of their mouth, and I really liked this person too, then I was like, holy shit, it's someone that like everyone knows in the area and knew for the wrong reasons, at least when I was in school. Like they were known by everyone to just be a mad cunt, to the point that in fact Justy has met this person, and heard their stories and spoke about it on the Low Blows Network before. I think it was before we did the mental health show, and told his story. I'm not going to get into it because I don't want to give too much information away. But let's just say, for some reason, I decided to pursue the relationship for a short period, and then I realized why I should have just not done anything because it got crazy quick. So yeah, I actually ended up getting later involved in the Mad Lad's life, and many crazy stories that I'd love to tell on the show, but I'd fear for my life if I did. Ended up happening later on. Corporate Keen, you've actually got something for this. I remember you telling me something.
Do I?
You may not want to talk about it on the air.
No, like, when you say mad lad, right, there's two definitions of mad lad. There's the mad lad who ends up going off to fucking DIT to study fucking business. But there's but then there's like the actual like psychopath, you know what I mean? Like that's like I wouldn't really say mad lad to describe a legit psycho. But yeah, there were like psychos in my school and all that. Like I remember being in school once, like having lunch in like the corridor, and somebody got set on fire. Like that was the sort of school I went to. Like, but I'm glad I went to that sort of school. Imagine going to some like shite fucking private school, like where people didn't even get set on fire. Like,
gave you character.
You know, I don't know. I can't see it. Yeah, like I didn't really keep in contact with anybody from school. You know, I mean, once I left, I just sort of like dropped off the face of the earth. I don't know.
Do you not tell me about one time reading in the newspaper about someone you went to school with? You don't have to tell the story on air.
No, that wasn't someone I went to school with.
Okay.
No,
okay. You don't have to tell the story on air.
There was one person. Yeah, I mean, there's probably one or two that are in prison now. That would be my.
Just leave it there. Fair enough. I couldn't remember the exact story. Sorry, I didn't mean to try on the spot.
Yeah, I don't know. But who were your mad lads when you were in school? Most of our listeners are Irish. A lot of Irish schools are pretty fucking mad. So send us in your local mad lad stories. Yeah. Thanks for your questions. Bye.
Right. I'll tell you the story now, lads.